Hi. So I first wanted to say that I'm sorry for missing my presentation today due to unforeseen circumstances, but I decided to go ahead and just record this screen recording of my project with me narrating it a little bit, so let's just jump right into it. Ghouls and Spirits of Charleston Local Folklore Project. So meet Mike Brown. Mike is the 49-year-old owner and main tour guide of Old Charleston walking tours in this famous and historic city. He's been in the folklore industry for about 15 years, over that actually, and it's all started in the mid-90s. After high school, he joined the Navy. After that, he came to Charleston. He has always been a big history buff, and one day he did a tour downtown, and he just got super interested in it. He started out as a history tour guide, but in the Charleston history zone, and then as you kind of get into the Charleston history, you kind of realize that we have a lot of ghosts here. He's been featured in local, national, and international radio and television programs on local programs such as South Carolina ETV, and then national programs such as HGTV, BBC, Voice of American Radio, and Destination America's Ghost Asylum. So some fun facts about Mike. He was the first person to ever spend a full night from dusk until dawn in the infamous Old Charleston Jail. The first jail was built in 1802, and it was replacing a jail that was used to hold enslaved people in the Charleston area. And a really famous story about the Old Charleston Jail is the story of Lavinia Fisher. So Fisher and her husband resided in Charleston for most of their lives. Together they owned an inn called the 6 Mile Wayfarer House, which was about 6 miles north of Charleston, which is where they got the name from. And this was in the early 19th century. During the couple's time there, reports were being made to the local sheriff about people that went to stay at the inn that began disappearing. And then due to lack of evidence and also lack of really any crime scene detective work, the popularity of the inn became more popular because people were talking about it, and then complaints just kind of turned into nothing. So it turns out that after a few years of this little scheme, they found out exactly what Lavinia and her husband were doing. They would invite travelers into the house. They would give them dinner. They would give them drinks, and they would ask them questions about what they did for work. And then they would determine if these guests had any money. So what she would do is she would send them up to their rooms with a cup of poison tea. And then once the men drank their tea and went to bed, her husband would go into the room and kill them. And then they would steal all of their money. Believing that she would be pardoned up until the moment that she was hanged, because she was staying in the jail for quite a long time, she was just so frustrated with whenever she finally was put to death, and she infamously quoted, "If any of you have a message for the devil, tell me now, for I shall be seeing him shortly." And then she proceeded to lunge herself off of the platform that she was on, and she hung herself. And to this day, tourists still claim to see her running around Charleston or running around the old jail grounds itself. On top of that, Mike is the creator and the host of a bi-weekly podcast called Pleasing Terrors, and he quotes it as, "The Pleasing Terror podcast features stories about haunted places, creepy history, and forgotten folklore." So I asked Mike what his favorite part about telling local folklore was, and he just said that you get such a good connection with the audience while spreading the history that most of them are so fond of, because a lot of his clientele are actually from Charleston. And he is just forever grateful for being a part of the supernatural family that is built around Charleston, because there is a big one. And that is Mike Brown. This is my little infographic. He was a super nice guy. He offered a free tour, but I ended up breaking my leg that day or the day after, so I couldn't go. But I highly recommend going to the Old Charleston walking tours if you have a chance in the Charleston area. And thank you for your time.